is Tammy, and on August 28th, 2021, at 8:47 p.m., my son Dakota, my only child, was killed in a car accident. Devastating isn't even a word to describe it. It's been 934 days, and I still find it sometimes almost impossible to even breathe. I grew up in church. I was there every time the doors were open. My mom was the piano player. I trusted God. I had my faith in him. I had trusted that he would protect my son. And in my eyes, he failed me at that time. I was so angry at God. I was so angry. Why didn't he protect my son? A friend of mine bought me a Bible after he was killed and had his name and Romans 8:28 engraved on the front of it because my son was killed on 8/28, August 28th. And I shoved it in my nightstand drawer with my other Bible because I was so angry I didn't even want to open it or look at it. I didn't even want to think about God. The more and more I thought about it, the more and more I felt like I was being punished for something that I couldn't even explain. Like, why me? I was a good mom. It's all I ever wanted in this whole life. That's the only thing I ever wanted, was to be a mom, Dakota's mom. And I was good at it. So I was angry and resentful because I could not understand why God had betrayed me, in my opinion, and not protected my son. One day, a couple of months ago, I was cleaning off my nightstand and I opened up my drawer, and there that Bible was, and I decided to get it out of the drawer. I flipped to the back where the index is, and there's different feelings, emotions, different things that we experience in life, and verses to reference those feelings. The page that I flipped to, my eyes went right to the word suffering. And under the word suffering are 5 different verses, but the first one of the 5 was John 9:2-3. In John chapter 9 is the story of Jesus healing the blind man. And the Gospel of John is John's eyewitness account of Jesus' time on earth. And verse 2 says, "And his disciples asked him, saying, 'Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he may be born blind?' And in verse 3, Jesus answered, saying, 'Neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him.'" When I tell you, my jaw dropped, and I realized in that moment that perhaps Dakota being killed wasn't a punishment, in fact. But here's where things get really good. Dakota's accident happened at 8:47 p.m. that Saturday night. This Bible verse is on page 847 in my Bible. Hold on, it gets better. When I saw it was on page 847, I really knew that God was speaking directly to me. And because that was on page 847, out of curiosity, I thought, well, what's on page 828, I wonder? On page 828 is the Gospel of Luke. And do you know what story is on page 828 in Luke 18? The story of Jesus healing the blind man. Now, I know everybody's Bible is different sizes and fonts and languages and formats and all kinds of stuff, so not everybody's is on the same page, but mine is. On both pages 828 and 847 are the same story. And I realize that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are all Gospels, and they are all eyewitness accounts of Jesus' time here on earth, both before and after his death. But that's not a coincidence to me. Not that both Luke and John are telling the exact same story on page 828 and page 847. And I have it circled as well, 828. There it is. And the story is right here, Jesus healing the blind man. So, in that very moment, God touched my heart. That's the only way I can explain it. I was determined to work on my relationship with him, and I realized that he's bigger than all of this, that he is the creator, whereas Dakota and I are a creation. God sent his son to die for me so that I get to see my son again. Wow, that is so humbling. That is so humbling to realize that because of God, I get to see my son again. I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't have that opportunity if not for him. And I will fall at his feet when I get there for that, for giving me that hope of eternal life. I realize this is a long video, and if you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you so much for listening to my story. I started reading the Bible and realized that even at 41 years old, I'm almost 42, 41 years old, this was just a couple of months ago, I still didn't understand what I was reading. I grew up in church. I was in church all the time, but I knew the basics, but I didn't understand a lot of things, and I had a lot of questions. So I did a little research, and I decided to buy a new Bible, and I bought a New Living Translation. And although I am an educated woman, and I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of things, the New Living Translation definitely clarified a lot of things for me as far as helping me understand what I'm reading. Because what's the point of reading the Bible if you don't understand what you're reading? This is my testimony. And my point to all of this is if you don't have a Bible that you understand, please get one. If you can't afford one, let me know and I will try to help you get one. If you have questions that you don't understand about the Bible, leave them in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them. I am learning as well, but I have learned so much over the last few weeks reading this, that my entire perspective on life has changed. And there's no other explanation for that other than God. I'll give you one quick example. One of my questions I had about the Bible was, why did people live 900 years, 700 years? Methuselah lived 960 something years. Noah lived 930 something years. That didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make sense to me, and because it didn't make sense to me, it made me doubt my faith. Well, upon reading the Bible, I literally was just a couple of pages into Genesis when I read the verse verbatim that God said after the flood, when he got Noah on the ark and Noah built the ark and he destroyed everyone, which is another story I can go into if you don't understand that. He said that man's life will no longer exceed 120 years. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. I had no idea. This whole time, part of my doubting my faith was because it didn't make sense to me that people lived almost 1,000 years in Bible times, but today we can't live barely 100. It didn't make sense. And now it does. So I hope that this helps you. I hope this touches your heart. I hope God touches your heart and helps you understand what you're reading. And again, I'm learning still, but if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Please put them in the comments and I will gladly help you because I want to see my son again. And I am so very thankful for that promise. I want to make sure everybody else understands his love and understands what they're reading because my Lord, is it life-changing. It is life-changing. My God is pretty amazing, and he will blow your mind if you'll let him. Let God show you what he's capable. If he can change my heart, and he can change my perspective after losing my only child, he might be able to change yours too. Give him a shot. What do you have to lose?